Hello, everybody. This is Jynnette The Oracle, and welcome to Oracle Talks. I am going to be providing messages for the North Node transiting through the sign of Aquarius, and of course, that means South Node going through the sign of Leo. For some announcements, I do have a free training for entrepreneurs who are looking to generate their first 6 figures in revenue. So that you can find in the description below. It is a free video series that is sent via email to help provide you with a very clear and relatively easy to understand and apply framework for what those different stages look like in the process of getting to that place. So I definitely highly recommend check that out, and of course share that with any other new entrepreneurs or even entrepreneurs who've been around for a while who have not been able to as of yet get to that 6-figure mark. Please definitely make use of that resource. Also, if you are looking to do any cord cutting for clearing out longstanding harmful cords or contracts from the past, I definitely have a wonderful and really potent cord cutting energy program available as well. Again, you can sign up for that in the link below. That is available to help with not only the clearing, but also the restoration and strengthening of your energy field and helping you to realign with the new path that is able to fully open up once, some of that old stuff is let go of. So definitely check that out. If you do have questions about anything, feel free to reach out to me on the contact page of my website, which is, you see it scrolling at the bottom of the screen, or also in the description below. Okay. So with that being said, I am, like I said, going to be getting into these messages for North Node and Aquarius. This came up, Spirit dropped this in to my mind from the last Oracle talk, so I knew I was going to be getting into this for today, so I'm really looking forward to that. How this is going to be structured specifically is because the North Node takes approximately a year and a half or 18 months to go through, the pair of signs. So it's always North Node on one side, South Node on the opposite side. I like to divide that transit into 3 periods of 6 months. Because 6 times 3 is 18, right? To really get a sense of how that energy is going to be shifting and how that energy can be used in pursuit of, whatever it is that we're pursuing based on those themes. So that is essentially how I will be structuring these messages. So first, I'm going to be starting with the actual just general talking about the transit and the specific dates and the degrees that go with those dates. So that really helps, so that it can really help you to have some specific planning and strategizing around those periods. Okay, so that's essentially the framework for today. So I'll go through the dates first, and then we're going to go period by period. So first 6 months, second 6 months, third 6 months throughout this entire transit. Go a little bit deeper into the themes that are present there, how this can be used, in a spiritual development context, the reclamation of soul power, personal power, showing up in various aspects of your life, as well as entrepreneurial insights as well. Okay, so we'll go through all of those. If we do have time towards the end, I will get some additional messages from the angels and the ancestors, just, for extra if needed. We may actually end up getting a lot when I go through each individual period, but that's the structure for today's Oracle Talks, all right? If you have not noticed, I do have a playlist now on the channel labeled Planets. So I have moved over a few Oracle Talks that are specific planetary messages that are long-term messages. So I don't do I'm not putting shorter transits there. This is going to be multi-year ones so that it's easier to find and easier to reference. So you can keep that available as a resource and as a backdrop for that influence over a period of time, because it's not just, when a planet ingresses, but for the outer planets, their influence goes for a long time. So this, even though we're talking about the North Node, is not technically a planet, it will be going into that planet playlist, so that you can reference these messages and this information over time easily. Okay, so that is there for you. If you can do me a favor, if you are new here, welcome. And if you are returning, welcome back. If you are new and have not already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. And then, of course, like and comment and share, so that this helps to spread throughout the YouTube ecosystem. We finally crossed over the 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for those of you who are new to me and joining. Thank you so much. We've been trying to get to that 1,000 for a while, so it feels really good to finally be here. I've been here, Inner Alchemy has been here. It'll be 10 years this summer. So like this is, a cause for celebration. So I am really excited about that. So thank you for that. But yeah, for new folks coming in, thank you for joining. And yes, please do subscribe and welcome to the Soul family. All right. So let's go ahead and get in and talk about this astrology and the specific dates. So let's talk about just the nodes in general, because I don't want to assume that people are clear or they feel confident with that information. So when we're talking about the nodes, we are specifically, in general, talking about the moon's nodes. And the moon's nodes are not physical things. They represent mathematical points, okay? So they are places where the moon's orbit is intersecting with the ecliptic, or basically the sun's path. So those 2 points of intersection are called the nodes. So one is the north node, and one is the south node, and they're always opposite. So it's always a pair. People in general just usually only reference or talk about the north node, but it does not exist in isolation. Just like in nature, in existence itself, in life itself, nothing actually exists in isolation. It is always in relationship. Okay. So north node is always paired with south node. But for simplicity, we're just going to be talking about the north node. Okay. So the north node, depending on which astrological system that you're using and cultural associations, can mean a variety of things. There definitely are similarities across the board, but I'm going to be giving you, of course, my perspective and interpretation on the nodes. So for me, the north node represents that place where we are striving for, we are exploring more, we are taking more risks, we're being more open towards, our attention and focus resources are being dedicated in that direction. And it's the direction of the themes associated archetypally with that sign. Okay, so the north node is very forward looking, again, risk taking, exploratory, creative, expansive, what have you. And that's, at a larger global scale. It also can mean that on a personal scale, but since I'm doing a larger reading, I'm just going to be speaking about the larger context. I go into more specifics on the personal aspects in my individual sessions with people. But the South Node, in a broader context, is going to be representing those places where we already kind of have mastery and knowledge over. It's easy, so it's a place that we can fall back on, because we're going towards the north node. So the south node is kind of like par for the course, if you will. But at times it also can represent and showcase those places where there are hidden obstacles or things that are potentially getting in the way from you being able to explore and learn and grow, or take risks in the areas associated with the north node. Okay, so they are paired up in general in that way. Again, there definitely is more with that, but we are speaking generally and archetypally with these themes. So the north node is going to be transitioning into Aquarius, right? And so the themes associated with that are related to technology, innovation, being able to see connections and make connections. In particular, it's very relationship oriented. It's an air sign, but the ideas and people connection that you might not have necessarily been able to see before, or maybe you have been able to see before, but there is more of a focus on bringing folks together around a particular idea. It also can be, revolution. It's just all those things, but it's the new. It's striving for something more, something different. It is a sign that is ruled by Uranus. Now, I did actually talk about Uranus in the last Oracle talks. I am planning, I'm planning to circle back and do more videos specifically on Uranus in Gemini for particular areas of life. So far, I've done a video with the focus being on relationships. So you can definitely check that out. But the beginning part of that is good to kind of reference in terms of that influence on Aquarius, because Uranus is now the planetary ruler of Aquarius. Previously, it would have been Saturn, because at the time we didn't know Uranus existed. Okay, so with that being said, the structure, the rules, etc., that Saturn is also associated with Aquarius. Okay, even though in general it's not thought of in that way, but Aquarius archetypally actually does thrive in a structured environment. It doesn't necessarily like to feel restricted, but as long as there are clear rules and a path to success that it can follow, that there's almost like a true merit-based way of approach and work, etc. That is a place where the Aquarius energy does flourish. So it will work in that way, and it also is going to seek to be able to expand, and that creative flow will come out of that. So that is something to keep in mind. That element is actually still a part of Aquarius, contrary to popular belief. Now, the South Node, of course, in Leo, the themes associated with Leo have to do with leadership, personal power, authenticity, being your unique self, right? It's that loving heart, not necessarily personal emotions, but it is also, broader, thinking about others, the well-beings of others. Again, not just emotionally, but are we doing well? Are we having fun? Are we living a beautiful life? Truth and justice, that's really starting to play in heavy with Leo as well. It's sometimes people will say that Leo is an attention seeker. I don't actually necessarily see that. I think Leo is very comfortable in its own skin, and it's not apologetic about that. So there's that. Okay, so those are kind of the themes that are related to these two signs archetypally. So that is, the backdrop for this nodal transit. Now, the nodes, in case you don't know, they do travel backwards through the zodiac. So right now we have the North Node in Pisces, South Node, of course, in Virgo. But it is going to be shifting into Aquarius, right? And then after it's gone to Aquarius, it's going to shift back into Capricorn and keep going in the reverse. All right. So just so you know that, in case you do not. With that being said, let's talk about the actual dates. So I have this written down because I'm not going to remember. Now, this transit is actually going to be quite a long time, just because of the timing and the placement, but also where it is in the zodiac, because the zodiac is actually not a perfect circle, so it's not equidistant. So this transit is actually going to be going on for a minute. So we're going to be under this influence this year, starting over the summer into the beginning part of 2028. So this, especially because we had an eclipse already in Aquarius in mid-February, I think it was the 17th. It essentially is going to feel like 2 years under this Aquarius energy, just FYI. So it is a much longer feeling time with this. So the official ingress is going to be happening, ingress meaning entry, of the North Node into Aquarius. And again, we're moving backwards. So we're going to be starting going from 0 degrees Pisces into 29 degrees of Aquarius, is going to be July 27th of this year. Okay. And so it's going to transition from 29 degrees to 20 degrees, which is that 1/3 of the transit, through March 21st of 2027. Okay, so July 27th this year, all the way to March 21st, 2027. That is a really long time. Okay, because we have July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. That is almost 9 months, y'all. 9 months in these 10 degrees. Okay, so like I said, this is a longer transit that we're having for this nodal thing. So yeah, long time. And within that, it's going to be at the 29th degree. So that first beginning stage at the end of July, right into the beginning of August. Technically it'll be like 8 months, but still a long time. But it's going to be at 29 degrees for about 2.5 months. So I say that to say, for if you know your natal chart and you have your personal either North Node or South Node at or around 29 degrees of Aquarius, this is important to know, because the influence of that push towards the North Node Aquarius, which we'll be talking about later in more depth with the spirit guidance, is going to be much more heavy or much more prominent. Not heavy, it'll be much more prominent for you. Okay, so just keep that in mind. If you have North Node or South Node at that 29th degree of either Aquarius or Leo for that 2.5 months, somewhere around there, this is going to be very prominent for you. Okay, so that's the first section. So actually going to be longer than 6 months. It's going to be about 8 months or so. Then from the 19 degrees to the 10 degrees, which is the middle section of the transit, okay, that's going to be from March 22nd of 2027. Okay, so again, spring equinox next year, through September 29th, 2027. So that now is going to be more typical 6-month period. Okay. And then of note for that time period, if you have your nodes, your natal nodes, personal nodes around 11 degrees, either Aquarius or Leo, okay, in your natal chart, know that that's an important time, because it's going to be at 11 degrees for about 2.5 months. Okay, so that's maybe particularly important for some of you. Then we're going to have the last third of this transit. So we're going to have 9 degrees to 0 degrees of Aquarius. So this is the final decan of the transit in Aquarius. This is going to be from September 30th of 2027 into March 26th, 2028. And that period is going to be about 6 months. So that's going to be more of a standard time. For this latter part of this section of the transit, for those of you who have your personal natal chart at or around 2 degrees of Aquarius or Leo, this is going to be important for you, because it's going to be hanging around that degree, specifically 2 degrees, for about 2.5 months. Okay, so that may be for that group of folks a really potent time when you're really pushing for whatever this is bringing up for you in your personal chart. Okay, in that particular house, but the themes will still be there. So those are the 3 time periods. Okay, so those I'm going to be talking about or referencing that as we get into these individual sections. So the first section, the second, and the third, but it's in reference to these dates and coinciding to these degree paths. So keep that in mind. Once I get off of this recording, I will definitely put these dates and these degrees in the description so that you have that information, again, for easy reference. But I do want to say that in case anybody is taking notes while we are doing this live. I will also share the eclipses as well in the description afterwards, because we will be having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 solar eclipses over the course of this time. I already mentioned the first one in February already that just passed. That was 28 degrees of Aquarius, but we have 4 more over the course of this entire period also influencing. I'm not going to get into the eclipses because normally I do talk about the eclipses around the time that they happen. So we'll get those messages when they happen. But yeah, there's a lot of new moon solar eclipses that are going to be coming up. But yeah, that 2 years basically of influence under this Aquarius Leo axis, that's significant. All right. So again, folks who have their nodes already in these 2 signs, their natal nodes within these 2 signs, or might have a buildup of planets, i.e. a stellium, in one of those 2 signs, or have strong aspects to one of those 2 signs. So strong aspects could be sextiles, trines, squares, oppositions, conjunctions. This is an important time for you. Okay, so there we go. Let me check comments, see if anything is there. Okay, nothing there. Welcome to folks who are coming in. Thank you for joining. All righty. So let's dive into this first segment. So again, this is going to be from the 29 degrees to 20 degrees section of the North Node transiting through Aquarius. So this is going to be July 27th specifically through March 21st of next year. Okay, so I actually already have the cards out because I wanted to preserve time a little bit because I don't know how much I was going to be talking, so try to get ahead. So I already have the cards out for each of the sections. The first card for each segment of this transit that I'll be talking about is specifically going to be addressing the theme that's coming up for everyone. Okay, where the focus and the drive is, and again, this is universal. It's not unique. It's something that always happens. Yeah, I'm being reminded also, even though we talk about certain aspects and events happening, it is important to remember or to keep in mind that all of the archetypes, all the influences are always there. What's really coming up or what's really being addressed is the fact that having a planetary body or having the nodes transiting through a particular area is simply bringing that more to the forefront of our focus. Okay, so it's not that like, oh, all of a sudden these Aquarian themes are coming up. It's the Aquarian themes are always there. It's just being brought more to the point of focus, and it's a point of focus for all, more so than it would be in other places, just because of that additional planetary influence. Okay. So just want to make that clear. And this, because this is also true for the natal chart, just because you may or may not have a planet in a particular house or in a particular sign does not mean that house or that sign doesn't have influence or doesn't affect you or impact you. Like it absolutely does. All of it does is just a matter of what's more prominent to you, what has more value, etc. Okay, so because again, this is a global influence, everybody is going to be feeling or addressing or navigating this in a particular way. How it shows up for folks is going to be unique to their natal chart specifically, but these themes are coming up regardless. So I'm going to be talking about the themes that are specific to this section of the transit, as well as providing some insight and some strategy for dealing with it or making the most of it in a spiritual context as well as entrepreneurial context. Okay. All right. So for this first segment, we have the King of Wands. So this is the theme. This is where the focus is. This is where attention is going. This is where resources are going. So the King of Wands is, I mean, all the Wands cards. I mean, all the court cards deal with aspects of power, but King and Queen are the ultimate solidification of that within the self, the exercising of that. So yeah, and the kings are very much settled in that. The queens are also settled, but they're there's a little bit more almost like pliability and exploration in it. Not as much with the king because it is fixed. So it's like, this is what it is kind of vibe. So this may be a situation where, depending on where you are, you could be in pursuit of getting to that sense of solidity in power. Context is broad, but getting to that place of solidity in power. Or if you already have wanting to flex that more. Okay, this person has both hands on the staff. What you'll notice often in the tarot, you pay attention to the placement of things and what's actually showing up in the imagery. And often, especially with the king and queens, they only have one hand on something that represents a symbol of power. There's usually either one hand in the lap or resting somewhere or holding something else that represents something completely different. In this situation, this person is actually has both hands on the representation of power here. And that can be quote unquote good or bad, depending on how someone is using their power. So take that as you will. This is the sole focus. There's not openness like there would necessarily be with the queen in this deck in particular, where there's one hand left available for something else. It's both hand on instruments of power. And again, depending on your personality, that's either going to feel good or not. For me, it feels good. I think in general, we need more of this energy from everybody, especially folks who are lukewarm. So on the personal side of things, we have the Hermit. I actually really like this on whether this is spiritual or related to other people. This talks about coming to a place of self-mastery. It's an understanding that the book starts and stops at home base. Okay, home base is you and God. And if you don't believe in God, then it's you. But yeah, it starts and stops there. It's not that others, outside world, etc., isn't important and valued, but again, there's an understanding that if you aren't there, if you aren't showing up, if you aren't, doing your best, not the best, which is outside, but if you're not doing your best, again, if you're not showing up fully, if you're not actually engaged in the process of making use of your power, understanding what that is, etc., then there's no forward motion, there's no movement, there's There's nothing with that, right? There's no creativity, there's no coalition building, there's no developing new technologies, there's no innovation. The buck starts and stops with you. The learning starts and stops with you, right? Like, you know, in a context of like school or like, you know, required training at work, you may be forced to learn, but it's still going to be within a particular context. If you want to pursue this and have greater impact in whatever the context is, you have to, again, take that initiative. And you have to do it when no one's looking. It has to become mundane, almost. This also speaks to receiving wise counsel and respecting that wise counsel, meaning like expertise in an area rather than like the quick fix. This is also giving me the vibe of burning the midnight oil. It's like pursuing knowledge, pursuing power, pursuing whatever it is that is related to this in a personal context, well past the point when others go home. Another thing that's coming through with this is strong. This isn't an energy that goes with the crowd, but it's not antagonistic in nature. It's not saying, you know, you're better or worse than others. It's the purpose of this is not to conform or to mold self to the group. It's understanding that the separation from groupthink is necessary in order to be able to expand learning, to develop more skill, to develop more expertise, and to coalesce power. This also is feeling like being more comfortable with having and using power. Like this feels very strategic. I know that this energy doesn't necessarily look like it's focused, but for me, the King of Wands would be akin to a laser. It's focused light, like sharply focused light. The Queen of Wands would be like a lamp, still bright, but it's diffuse light, lights up a room. So it's definitely not a small thing. And a laser definitely can light up a room, but a laser is focused light. It's not diffused. It has a point A, point B. There is still some diffusion of light, but that's a secondary consequence to the form of that fire. if that makes sense. So that's really coming through with this this card here, which is the Hermit, for those of you familiar with the tarot. Let's see if I have anything else for that card. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to the entrepreneurial message for the same time period. For the spiritual side of things, this is becoming much more actively engaged in using your spiritual abilities and your spiritual powers. For whatever your intended purpose is. Okay, so the entrepreneurial, we have 6 of Swords. If I remember correctly, this is an Aquarius card, Moon in Aquarius. What's the message with this one? Oh, at the end, I will do a review of this as well too. So if you are coming later on into this live stream, or have you gone through and you just have like a lot of notes, I will go back and review. So you have like a Cliff Notes version, if you will. This is an interesting card. I like the energy of it. I'm just trying to settle into what that is, although I guess that actually is the point. I guess that actually is the I'm feeling into for the entrepreneurs who are feel like they're now at a place where they can be more forward looking and less on the damage control side of things. Or at least out of a period of transition. I like the way this feels. So there is an element of it's almost like getting to a point where you feel like you're ready to stake your claim in a particular type of area. But it's not necessarily quite there yet because there's not enough data. So that tells me that you're still in the beginning stages of whatever that is, and you just need the time to be in that process of that beginning stage, which probably means in the next section of this transit, you'll have that intel to be able to move forward. Yeah, this very much feels like a card of observation, like making sure that you are, you're engaged in a process, but you are really taking an objective stance with everything, being as detached as possible, like not getting wrapped up into things emotionally or not tying success or failure to your personal value or what have you, and just watching, understanding, studying, making adjustments as needed, shifting strategy as needed, but still staying engaged in, again, whatever the beginning stages of this new thing is, new path is. This could be a new product, new service, a new business model, um, marketing strategy, whatever. But yeah, staying the course, gathering the information until there's enough data to then be able to say, like, okay, yes, this is a place where honestly power can be had, where you can establish something that can grow long term. Okay. Yeah, so you're looking for elements of success, um, and discernment around the types of success or failure, right? Some things might be seasonal, one-offs, the discernment to be able to see what that is versus something that actually has more sustaining power is important. And it's not that, one is better than the other, but knowing what you have, knowing what's going to require long-term maintenance versus something that you can keep um, in the bag to provide additional resources that are needed in the future for short-term benefit. Like, that intel is important. So that's really what's coming through with this particular card. We got there eventually. Because it wasn't just like that one kind of thing, but I like that. That's why it feels good, because it's like it's already in the process. It is the Six of Swords. So the things are already flowing, but only 5 swords are lit up. So that sixth sword is like, okay, is it going to be a sustaining light, something that is consistent, or is it just a, flash in the pan? And it's just data. Again, there's no, oh, this is good or this is bad. It's just, you need to know what you're working with. And that's something that only time can tell. That's something only time can tell. All right, I believe that is it. Let's move on. All right, so now we're going to shift to the middle part of the transit. So this is going to be the second third, if you will, of the North Node going through Aquarius. So this is going to be the middle decan, so specifically 19 degrees to 10 degrees of Aquarius, okay? And the dates are March 22nd, 2027 through September 29th, 2027. Okay, so that 6-month period. So spring of next year, basically through autumn of next year. All right, so we have Devil card. So that's the theme for this middle section. Talk about power. Can you see this progression? Going from the king to the king with both hands on the staff, on the instrument of power, to the devil, which has the power literally coming from the hand, and then the other hand directing where the energy goes. So you could almost think of it as a harnessing of power here, but we'll see. So the themes here. So the devil talks about places where we can be stuck. It is Capricorn, so it does represent governments, contracts, laws, things like that. But it also is power. It is a power card. It is Capricorn. This is more institutional power rather than, in this context, institutional power versus personal powers. So whether this is actually governments, because that can be Capricorn, or religious institution, a business, that would be an institution, but something that is bigger than just you. Okay. Now, the way this card is set up, it's actually looking right at the King of Wands. So that's definitely influencing that sense of progression. Even though technically we're going down in degrees, this is actually feeling like progression of energy. This is fascinating because it's this can almost feel like the boogeyman, like the big bad. But then again, it's just like, well, you also have the same power. So then how are you using your power? And where does power lie? What does it look like? How can it be harnessed? Because it's not just institution, it is also people, right? It is also community. It is also relationship. This part of the process looks like we're actually focusing and intentionally going to be grappling with where we might actually be maybe faking ourselves out, where we are needing to face where we are afraid of embracing power or becoming much more powerful, or leveraging this at a larger scale, right? There is hesitation with this, but it's less about hesitation of like this outside of individual self, or like what institution or government, et cetera, is doing, and more about hesitation of progression of this to this and what this looks like. This feels like fear of embracing whatever the next level of power is. And again, this is in all context. But that's really what I'm picking up. So this is seeming like it's more about, again, grappling with where that's actually showing up and needing to address it head on. Because again, this is still Capricorn, and this is talking about structure. And it's North Node Aquarius. So how do you systemize or create structure for, again, leveraging power in a larger way that actually can be successful, that actually can sustain over time? And that's hard. Definitely some people, cultures, communities, etc., have been able to do it. However, they tend to be more the exception rather than the rule, because there does become a point where the further up you go in collaboration and coordination and structure, right, the higher the stakes get, and the more you're meeting others who also have power and coordination and structure. So how can you set yourself up, you as personal / group, in such a way where you can actively or more strategically deal with others who are sitting and standing in their power? Because this is feeling like a dual singular / group energy as well too. Because again, it's a broader theme, so it's both and. Interesting. My eye is actually going to the upside down pentagram. Not because what it symbolizes in terms of the occult, but literally in the context of Aquarius, the Aquarius Leo axis, the specific points representing either individuals, so the 5 individuals at each point, and their corresponding relationship and coordination with other individuals, and how that creates a group power, or at a larger scale, how these points are individual groups and the individual groups' relationship with one another, create that level of power, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, this only works if the individual points are solid, meaning they are laser focused at standing in their authentic power and showing up in the way that they are designed and available to show up. So laser versus lamp, like there is some diffusion, but it's a laser, it's not a lamp, right? King of Wands. These are lasers, right? So this only works if these points are King of Wands. Whether these points are individuals or these points are groups, collectives, institutions, etc., this only works if the component parts are also solid within themselves. So to unpack, if there is fear or resistance around whatever this represents to you, like just reactionarily off the surface, you get to go a little bit deeper during this part of the transit in particular. Again, this is actually always here, right? Like, again, like I mentioned, none of this is new, but this comes a little bit more to the forefront, particularly during this time. So we get to collectively grapple with this. And either look to strengthen these individual points or make sure that we are looking to develop relationship. If we are a point, develop a relationship with others who are strong lasers themselves. And then there will come a point in time, this is just, 5, but it might be less or more, but there will come a point in time where a synergy is developed that activates this next level, whatever this next level of institutional power is. Again, regardless of context, because this is the theme for this section. Okay, so let's look at the personal. We sat on that for a while. So on the personal level, we have the Justice card. Okay. Now, this is also nice to have because previously we had the Hermit, so this was a lot of studying and fortification of self. There's no book here now. This is now actively engaged in seeing what's around, what's available, and looking to make contract, make alliance. Okay, because we have the scales of justice here, again, representing laws, contracts, etc. So it's okay. Now that I've explored all this in the first section, the first 8 months of this transit, excuse me, now I'm looking to connect. All right. Looking to connect, if this is related to relationships, networks, affiliations, what have you, as well as commitments that maybe one is making. Because again, this is all aspects of the personal. So this could be, health commitments. It could be moving somewhere, buying a house. Take that as you will. But it's doing so with this in mind. So like with that house example, this could be, the decision to buy a house based off of, in this context of these different points, of course, where it is, what the financial commitment is going to be, what the prospect is for your work, partner's work, how close you are to family and friends to be able to support you. If you guys are planning to establish a family, like all those considerations, those are all these points on here to create this life, this power, this institution that you're seeking to create. So that's what that would be in this context. So hopefully that makes things a little bit more clear if you're not quite sure what that theme is as it relates to your particular concerns. On the entrepreneurial side of things, we have the Knight of Swords, which is very interesting. It is actually very interesting because remember I was talking about that sixth sword here in the previous segment. now you have that sword. So the data has been collected. You know what's up with this, and you're deciding on how you want to move forward to be able to grow it, because this is the knight, it's not a king or a queen, but you're well on your way to becoming, or whatever aspect of business that is related to getting to that queen or king energy, i.e. the solidification and maintenance of progress, of success of the goal. So I like that. This also could talk about contract negotiations, specifically related to growing a business, or well, growing business can mean a lot of things. So it could be seeking new revenue streams, of course, because you want to scale that growth. It could be looking at new manufacturers, because now you have the data to say that, okay, this is something that my customers are liking. There is a good track record now. So before, want to take advantage of what's available and make sure that I put things in place now that actually can expand over time, rather than waiting to have things fall apart as I grow and then have to scramble to find somebody that can handle the capacity for me getting the products that I need. If it's more service oriented, it could be an upgrading of technology, what's actually going to help you be able to scale and grow more easily. So this is a better customer experience, better operational experience on the back end, just those kinds of things. So this is a strategic action for growth now that there has been success proven based on the data and during the previous time period. So it's like, okay, this actually can work and sustain for the long term. So let's go in that direction. So I like that. Okay. This is the fastest moving knight. Well, one of the fastest, because the Knight of Wands is also fast, but whereas the Knight of Wands can be reckless, the Knight of Swords is strategic. So he moves fast, but he moves strategically, meaning smartly, right? Balancing risk and reward. Again, because of the data that was collected previously. So this can be a really successful time for the entrepreneurs if they are good at managing their impulses for short-term gratification. Because this is the time then to take the more kind of risky, if you will, but not really, but the context, to take more of those active, risky actions during this particular time, okay? And yeah, in the context of, again, meeting other lasers, if you will, this also is a communication card and negotiation card. So alliances, this could be working with other businesses that are in complementary industries to you. So y'all could be, doing events that benefit both businesses, introduce both of you to new markets without taking away from the other. This could be more long-term contractual agreements, right? So all that's there. This could be, writing grants, right? Again, data collection efforts. You have that now to pursue grants. So this would be a good time for those of you who maybe run nonprofits, or you do have a for-profit business and you're looking for sponsorships or other grants. Like, this is, again, a good time for that. Looking for VC funding, this is the good time for that, again, after this period, right? Then doing this. This also can be that, working with mentors, gathering information so that you are set up for success, so that when you start this process, you have what you need in order to improve your chances of getting what it is that you desire. Okay. Last but certainly not least, the third segment of this North Node to Aquarius transit. So this is going to be from the first decan, so 9 degrees of Aquarius down to 0 degrees of Aquarius. So this will be September 30th of 2027, all the way through March 26th of 2028. So again, that 6-month period. So basically fourth quarter of 2027 into the first quarter of, or up to the second quarter of 2028. Okay, so this is our third segment. So the main theme coming up here that we're going to be more focused than normal is the High Priestess card. Oh, I forgot to put that timestamp, so I'm just going to guesstimate. This came up 50, but I'll try to go back and remember. Look at that. Okay, High Priestess. Oh, 1 second. Okay. It's actually, it feels very creative because, you know, the High Priestess is connected to secrets. It is secrets that we do have access to if we choose to pursue it, whereas the moon is more so it's like it's hidden, but it's being kept hidden and we can't really access per se. But this we do actually have access to. So what secrets are we unfolding at this point then? Or are we actually in pursuit of? Because that's really more so what that's about. That also has to deal with one's intuition, which I get the sense that with the air archetypes in general, but especially Aquarius, because it is, again, right after Capricorn. So there's that Saturnian influence that still is going to be there. But I don't think that the intuitive self, the intuitive nature is really given high value. And what I mean by that is I think that the intuitive self is very clear, meaning one's inner spirit is actually very clear. But I think that the mind, archetypally with the air signs, in this case Aquarius, will take the information, but it will suppress it with logic and social context and all that kind of stuff to negate taking action on what comes through intuitively, because it feels a little bit more frivolous. It's not externally validated. I think it comes across as like, oh, how I feel or personal dislike, and that can get pushed to the back burner because there's a greater importance on love and devotion to the group over self. But this coming up at this point in the North Node through Aquarius transit is highlighting that there's a pursuit of the intuition, the intuitive self, that insight, that guidance, and valuing that. That's a very interesting thing to come up, especially after 2/3 of this transit, which has been very much about power of self and also power of group, potentially, or institution. Um, it may seem that way, but actually, these two really shouldn't be separate. Yeah. Like these two actually shouldn't be separate, because this power includes soul power, not just power in the world. But maybe collectively, there's a realization that, like, oh, there has been a difference, and I need to really explore that and pay more attention to it. Okay, so that's a group. But also for others who are more, spiritually integrated or inclined, um, there could be a grappling with how to maintain this within the Capricorn energy, the Devil card energy. Well, I mean, the Devil card energy, right? Like where the place is for that within what has been created within the Devil card. Um, this is quite interesting because I know at this point, when this process is over, we're going to be going into North Node in Capricorn. So really grappling with the order, the process to success, structure, government, institution, hard work, meritocracy, all that kind of stuff. And how does this come into play? Because the South Node, of course, will be in Cancer, which is essentially this energy. Um, this is fascinating. But yeah, the intuitive self is dealing with that, or focusing more with that, because again, it's not necessarily a point of contention, because it's really going to depend on the person. So this could be adding this in as a superpower, or addressing the fact that this is ignored or not valued as highly as other aspects of power within the self. So you could be leaning more into this, or you could be going back to even reclaim and reacquaint yourself with it. All right, so on a personal level, we have the Princess of Swords. It's interesting because I'm looking at the other cards too. The entrepreneur card is a 9 of cups, but there is a very literally all three of those cards with how the cards are laid out here, they're all looking in a different direction from the previous cards. The Knight of Swords in the previous period is also looking in the same direction. So there is that shift there, but in general, this last part of the transit is looking in a completely different direction, which gives me the impression that like this is the prep for the next nodal transit, or there's a shift in influence here. Let me actually look at these eclipses to see what's going on during this point, because this is again end of 2027 into the beginning of 2028. So we still have those eclipses. We'll be at the tail end. We'll be coming towards the tail end of Saturn in Aries, and it'll be going into Taurus, which actually should feel really yummy. Uranus, of course, will still be in Gemini. Neptune will still be in Aries. Pluto will still be in Aquarius. Jupiter, I believe. Let me actually see where Jupiter is. Jupiter is actually hanging out in Virgo. It looks like Jupiter's hanging out in Virgo. So we're coming into a little bit more predominance of Earth energy for we'll be sitting in more Earth energy for Jupiter and Saturn. We'll just shift things a bit for us, and then the nodes will be shifting into more of that Earth energy as well. So that's fascinating. But this feels very specifically like looking at what's coming next. Why is that though? It's not leaving me. Why is that coming up again? Because it feels bigger than just that that nodal transit. Well, I know here in the US there's going to be, well, it's a really big turning point politically, because that is the time frame of the next presidential election. No, next presidential election would be end of, I got these dates. Let me just look this up right now. It should be end of 2028. Yeah, so it's not. Oh, but the nodes will be at that time. But I guess folks will be starting to really make it clear what that the initial race will look like. Of course, this is the high priestess, because it's just like I know there's more here. Like there are mysteries here. but there is more here. Of course, the moon is coming out in this batch of cards, so yeah, I'm not going to be able to actually get some of that information. Yep. Okay, it's fine. I'll just keep the focus. But there's something going on because it's very blatant in the cards. Like there's a very specific shift. Um, Now, in general, for me, the September timeframe is important anyway because that's beginning of a spiritual new year. So um, that is the entry into this last part of the transit is important anyway to me. Um, so yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what little bit I can get then from this for this part of the process. So on the personal side of things, again, Princess of Swords, as it relates to the intuitive self. This feels like standing on business and trusting what you know and communicating that information in the various contexts. So, in a health situation, this would be really taking seriously what's coming through intuitively and sharing that with your medical professionals. Um, in a relationship, with a family friend or romantic partner, if you're getting intuitive hits about things, positive, negative, or neutral, um, addressing those things. And I'm not talking about emotions or fears. I'm talking about information and being able to discern between those things and taking them seriously. Excuse me. I think also there's going to be a lot of learning of taking that information, being clear about it, taking it seriously, and then figuring out how to act on it, figuring out what, if any, of it to share with others, what that looks like, what has to be kept to self versus, what is shared. Like there's a lot of like learning and navigation around that because this is the princess. So there's not mastery in it. It's the beginning stage of the process. So you're learning. So this will be a time period where um, there'll probably be a little bumps and bruises in the process. Again, if this is new for you. If it's not new for you, in terms of listening to the self, I think that negotiation around the communication of what you know versus what you need to keep to self, since this is the theme of this time, is what you're going to be more so figuring out. Okay. Okay. Entrepreneurially, we have the Nine of Cups. Immediately, this is making me think of finding gold because it's light that is being found in the ocean. So, if we're learning to listen to the intuitive self or just secret, quote unquote, secret knowledge. So, secret knowledge in a broader context, really just can be knowledge that's not either easily accessible, meaning it's still accessible, it's just not easily accessible, or one does not think to look for this particular knowledge because it's just not in the frame of reference, and that knowledge is secret, even though it's not intentionally being hidden. Like this information is not intentionally being hidden, like the moon intentionally hides. This is the energy is here and available, but if you don't know where to look or where to go to access the information, you're just not going to have it. And it's not that it's being kept from you, it's just you're not looking for it and you don't even know to look for it or even know that's an option, right? It's like, not understanding or being aware of all the resources available to you in a library, right? Like, unless you're like specifically looking for something, you're not necessarily going there and exploring all the collections, all aspects. Like, you're not doing that, right? Not that it's being kept from you, but you're not really doing that. So this seems like, keeping your eye on things that are not necessarily areas, things, concerns, or whatever that other folks in your industry, your peers or whatever, are paying attention to, but you are, and you decide to pursue whatever those things are, whatever the context is, and you end up finding some buried treasure, whether this is operationally, product wise, manufacturing wise, shipping wise, business model wise, right? Like, it's, again, you find something that is there because you're paying attention to things that others aren't, or you are pursuing things that others aren't, because there's time and space for this. So this time period might be a time when you are specifically investing, i.e., putting attention, focus, allocating time to research, to learn more, to expand an understanding about various aspects of business, etc. And in pursuit of that, you find this and you're like, yeah, I'm going to go after this because I have an intuitive hit about this. Because I'm allowing this information, this secret information, to inform my broader perspective and view as an entrepreneur, as a business person. Again, Aquarius, the collective, the relational. I understand that my business is not out here in isolation. It doesn't exist in isolation. So there's buried treasure in other places that I might not think to look. And again, whatever that buried treasure is going to be, it could be more revenue, but it could be a new alliance potential that pops up. It's going to depend. All right, so that's this transit. Let's see. Hello. Just now seeing this, so thank you for joining. Thank you for your comment. So let us actually do a really quick review. Okay, on these 3 segments. So the first part of the transit, King of Wands, this theme is about really embracing power with both hands, with all that you have, and leaning into that power. Okay. The buck starts and stops with you is basically the phrase for that one. So get yourself strong, get yourself steady. This is not the time to be following the crowd. This is not the time to be acquiescing or accommodating or becoming like the crowd. It's not even the time to be showing out in the crowd. It's the time to be strengthening and developing your power and prowess and leveraging that and being really clear about what it is that you want and going after it, especially with your spiritual power. And then on the business side of things, you're already working on the new. Remember that you were in the beginning stage, so let it be the beginning stage. Okay, like don't jump ahead. Use this time to gather data before you make a clear decision about what you're going to commit time and resources to for whatever this new thing is that you're working on. Okay, let that energy play out. You need the data before you decide. In the middle part of this transit, we have the Devil card. So this is talking about the next progression or the scaling up of the power that is being explored and embracing in the first part. Okay. So this is specifically looking for the places where you can say yes, where those contracts, where those relationships, where that commitment and collaboration, coordination can be happening. Okay. So actively looking for it. Find the other lasers. And then on the business side of things with that, same thing, okay? You have gathered the data, now you know, now you can make the commitment and go ahead with whatever it is that you want to go ahead with, taking the risks that you need to take, etc., because you have the information. So you can have the strategy, you can settle in, and you can be successful and get things better prepared for further growth because it is something that is working. So again, that beginning stage has already been fleshed out. Now it's like, okay, strategizing systems that need to be put in place to help maintain and allow for growth to continue and expand as easily as possible down the road. And then finally, the last part of the transit, we have the High Priestess card. So this is talking about paying attention to and valuing the intuitive self. Okay. Or valuing and paying attention to secret knowledge or hidden knowledge. So on a personal spiritual level, we got the Princess of Swords, navigating, negotiating, getting clear on that intel, that information that comes through in your intuition, in your spirit, and acting on it, taking it seriously enough to act on rather than putting it to the side. Okay, and letting it be as important and valuable as the external, as well as negotiating what of that information to share or not share. Okay. Again, in the context of maintaining this power that has been accrued. On the business side of things, this is pursuing hidden or secret knowledge. Basically paying attention to those things or researching those things that your peers are not. Use the word peer broadly because there is hidden treasure to be found, whatever that hidden treasure is going to be. Okay. All right. So now let's do messages from ancestors and angels. And then we will call it a day. We'll do ancestor messages first for this transit. And just relay whatever I think is important to keep in mind throughout that entire transit. And this is just related to this transit because obviously this is over about approximately not a full, but almost a 2-year period. So there's a lot that happened. It's a lot of influences. But just within this context, where are the ancestors first, please? Okay, so a message from our elevated beneficial ancestors. Okay, came out very clear. So Hermit came out again, 6 of Pentacles, and 9 of Wands. Okay, love the color scheme. Okay. So this feels like a reminder to that message that came through when this card came up, about using your spiritual power is coming through again with that. So that is important. That will help to lead to success and also balance heaven and earth, so to speak, or spirit and the physical. That Six of Pentacles is also success. And then we have the Nine of Wands, which speaks about perseverance in general. The imagery doesn't give perseverance, so it feels almost like almost letting yourself go wild in a way. Meaning like really taking up space, really going after it, whatever it is, soul purpose. But yeah, really taking up space. This feels like a very, very specific progression of really embracing all of who you are, all of what's available to you, and going after what you want in life. Like this, if I was going to summarize this very succinctly, it would be living life to the fullest. Like that's the vibe that I'm getting from the three cards, but especially with this one. It's living life to the fullest. Live life to the fullest. That let your life have a really good story to look back on, right? Like burn bright. And it's not burn out, because this isn't burning out. This feels like burn bright. In this deck, this is the champion. Because it's not even a 9 isn't a sustaining energy, so it's a 9 for the time that it's a 9, and it is going to transition to the 10, which is the stable energy. So it's like for the time that is now for this transit, because that's the context that we're speaking of, like lean in and burn bright for this 9 of Wands, because there actually is a lot more capacity for the burning bright than you may be thinking of or have realized, especially given the nodal experience that we've been in recently, which is North Node in Pisces. Like North Node in Pisces is not sitting in this energy, right? North Node in Aquarius, for this transit, it is. Obviously, there's a broader context of the bigger Aries energy with Saturn and Neptune, right? But yeah, live your life to the fullest. Burn bright. Okay. I like it. All right, so now let's get angel message. So messages from the archangels. And also the angels of light that relate to this particular transit. All right, so let's get these cards out. Oh, I got one card. Princess of Cups. That's interesting. It's very interesting because she's drinking from her own cup. I just realized. Yeah, because I don't think in this deck and other decks that I've come across, no one's actually drinking from their own cup that they have. It's usually being presented, or it's just kind of like in the space with, you know, they're holding it. But yeah, interesting. Very interesting. This is almost this is almost feeling like a message around allowing yourself to really dream and go for it. This feels like in like in the theater world, this feels like ingenue energy. So, you know, that new young actress or actor on the scene. And that kind of like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed energy that comes with that. A little bit of naivete, but just an unencumbered openness and willing to try, and like a yes in the spirit. But not necessarily yes born out of like hardship and struggle, but yeah, just a lightness of being. And this may, for some, understandably, not be easy. But this is the I don't know if this is the ask, but maybe this is the ask, is to embrace this. What would you do? What would you go after? What would you be? What would you seek to have if you knew you could be, do, have anything? And I know we've heard that question before, but maybe it's been a while since we've actually asked ourselves that in all seriousness. Either ever, or maybe it's just been a while since we've asked ourselves this again. This very much feels connected to the ancestor message about, the living out loud, that last card. Um, but yeah, if you either haven't asked yourself this question or if it's been a while, this might help with being able to tap into that is, yeah, where's that part within you? Because that part exists for all of us, even in the midst of tough times or struggling or what have you. That's still there. So what does that look like? Where is that? All right, y'all. So that is our North Node in Aquarius exploration. We went through again the dates, the various deacons, the themes for each segment of the transit, and provided and received personal and entrepreneurial insight and guidance. So I really do hope that was helpful for you. Please again share this. If you have questions or anything, put them in the comments. I'll definitely follow up. But yeah, this was really nice. I will definitely be putting the timestamps and the dates, like I mentioned, in the description later on once this is up and running. But yeah, that being said, be sure to look for this in the planets playlist later on when you're wanting to reference this, later this year into next year into 2028, because again, this transit will be influencing us from, end of July into spring of 2028. So yeah, long time. But really, because of the eclipses, we're kind of already in the energy, even though technically the official transition hasn't happened in tropical astrology. We did have that eclipse in Aquarius in February, so we're kind of already in it. There's no need to feel the need to like jump the gun, right? But given that we have had the eclipse, we at the very least have a few months until the transition officially happens to start to get used to it, start to allow ourselves to become a little bit more familiar with these archetypal considerations, and go into that transit with a little bit more conscientiousness and playfulness. Right? Now that you kind of have a sense of the rules of the collective consciousness game, so to speak, how then do you want to play that game? How then do you want to show up in your life? What is your character looking like? How are you going to use your abilities as the mage or as the knight or or what have you? What's that going to look like? So that's what you kind of get to play with all these next couple months before we officially get into that time. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any questions, of course, like I said, comment below or reach out on the website, which is scrolling at the bottom here or in the description. Either way works. Again, if you're an entrepreneur and you've been running your business and you haven't yet hit your 6 figures, check out the free training that I have below to provide you with frameworks to be able to get you to that first 6 figures. And if you would like to enjoy and are in need of some cord cutting, you could also book a session or book the cord cutting program that I have available below. As an FYI, with private sessions, I always update my availability Sunday evening for the week ahead. So check on Sunday for next week's schedule. Right now it's blocked off, so you're not going to be able to do anything. But check for the new schedule at the end of Sunday for the week ahead if you would like to book a private session. Okay. We are coming up on a holiday, so I'm not going to be too available, but I am going to do my best to have some more availability for next week. Happy early Easter for folks. We'll see if I do an Oracle Talks next week because it is a holiday weekend. I might actually take the weekend off, but I'll check in with Spirit and see what's good. But like I said, I do want to continue on with another Uranus in Gemini exploration. So already covered relationships. I definitely want to do one specifically for the entrepreneurs and looking at money and things like that. So that for sure. But maybe one more. So let me know. Maybe I'll put a poll up on the community tab or something. But let me know what other areas you might want me to focus on for the Uranus in Gemini transit. Okay, because that's from now through 2033. Yeah, let me know. There definitely will be one for entrepreneurs specifically because I always want to make sure I give stuff for y'all too, because I work with both, personal stuff as well as business owners. But I'm definitely open to one more topic as well. I just haven't fully landed on what that last topic is. So let me know again in the comments, either under this video or under the Uranus video that I already have up, what interests you, okay? Oh, I'm missing all these. I'm just not looking at comments. I apologize. I was trying to focus, so I wasn't looking at comments. So Aquarius Girl K. Hello, I enjoyed the reading from the beginning. No worries. However, I have a question. Is this transit between September 2026 to September 2028? I'm assuming you were referencing the last part of that transit for the North Node. So that date, and I will have that again at the bottom, and this will be timestamped as well. But it was from September 30th, 2027 through March 26th, 2028 for the last part of that transit. So if you were referring to the stuff under the, which card was that? The High Priestess card, if that was related to that. But if you're talking about the North Node Aquarius, it's July 27th of this year through March 26th of 2028. Okay, so July 27th of this year through March 26th of 2028. But I do, as I explained at the beginning, I do actually divide this into 3 parts based on the deacons. So I'm going to give all those dates and put all that information in the description once I jump off and the video is uploaded. So that's easy to go back and reference. And again, this will be under the planets playlist, so that it'll be easy to go back and reference. And I'm specifically doing that for these longer planetary transits that go over several years. Okay, good. Glad you got it. Awesome. If there's not any other questions, then I will bounce, but I'll give a second if there are questions. Any other questions? Ooh. Hope everybody is staying cool. It has definitely cooled down a little bit, thankfully, here. I'm still mad we had a heat wave, though, but I'm glad at least it's cooling back down a little bit. Okay. All right, so I don't see any questions, so I believe we are good, and I think that is it for me. I think I went over everything I wanted to go over. Oh, I did mention how the first eclipse has come early, so we're kind of already under this influence of the Aquarius energy. That occurred February 17th at 28 degrees. This will be influencing us through August 28th, 2026. Okay, so that will be the full moon lunar eclipse. So if you, wherever that lands in the house, and your whatever house that lands in for your natal chart, Aquarius 28 degrees, then you can expect whatever is related, whatever themes are related to that particular house to be a little bit more prominent, front and center to you personally. It'll be different business-wise. So if you want to know business-related questions, please book an individual session. There's so much explaining. Can you please talk about what North Node in Aquarius means without so much? Oh, I explained that at the beginning. I'm at the end now, so if you're just not joining, I explained all of that in the intro, so no worries. Okay, I will bounce now because I don't see really anything else popping up, so I think we're good. But yeah, if you're coming here towards the end, no worries, unless there's some random technological issue. This should be available as soon as I jump off on YouTube, so just go back and watch, but give me a few minutes to update the description because there's a lot I got to put in the description in terms of dates and timestamps. So just give me a little bit for that and then you'll be able to see that. Okay. But thank you all for joining me. I do appreciate it. Again, please subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, and check out the website for more information. As a heads up, enrollment for the summer cohorts, summer programs will be coming soon-ish in a few months. So start taking a look at those and getting yourselves prepared mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. All right. Thank you. All right. So love you all, and God willing, I'll see you next time. Bye.